Wealth isn't accumulation, hoarding, thievery, or self-abandonment. It's not the number in your bank account. Wealth is what happens when circulation meets adequate containment. Hi, I'm Naomi Olatayo, and I am the Wealth Priestess. I awaken and initiate governors, unprecedented leaders, originating founders into their wealth, and I give them the blueprints to execute their destinies. I am here to help you stop shoving a 100 million gallon vision into a 30 million gallon container, and to help you finally build the architecture that holds your true scale. Today, I want you to be open to receiving a new definition for wealth, a new interpretation of wealth that sits outside of the capitalist, patriarchal, religious lens that we are all so familiar with. Traditionally, wealth is defined as the accumulative abundance of something, most commonly assets. Wealth is typically net worth, which equals to your total assets minus your liabilities. That's our standard definition of wealth. It's very tactical, very masculine in an energetic sense, and we all know it. We all see or have been taught that wealth is accumulation. Wealth has become something that we both covet and despise because it accumulates in the pockets of very few people. And I believe, and I witness it be siphoned from the working class and the poor, and even the working class of the wealthy. Wealth, as we experience it right now, is just a mass theft from all of our life forces, all of our labor, and no one really wins. Even those who win, they lose. There's this book called Capitalist Realism. I forgot who the author is. If I remember to put this in the description, I'll link the book. But he mentioned how your loss is required for those at the top to win. It's embedded in the infrastructure of capitalism. You can't win while they also win. So your win is their win and your loss is their win. That's just how it sets up. And I really love that definition. And honestly, I believe that's why we're called consumers. Because again, if it doesn't matter if we lose or win, and because they still win at the end of the day, we are being consumed from, we're being siphoned from. Seeing wealth in this way and having our world's infrastructure built in that kind of way keeps wealth stagnated. And it only distributes to reinforce and maintain a power architecture that does not serve us. And again, even when you win, you lose. It's very rare to see someone who was not meant to be wealthy to become wealthy and maintain all of their wins in the process of getting there. It's almost like levels of slavery. I see it almost like, were you working outside in the house, or are you working in the fields? Or are you working in the house, or are you working in the fields? That's how I see winning within capitalism. There's always a loss. You're always selling your soul or fragmenting yourself to get there. And it has been done where your win doesn't automatically come at a cost to you, but the way the structures are set up, someone lost so you can win. Always. If you trace it far back enough, maybe not even that far back, someone lost so that you can win. Wealth in this way, like I said, it's stagnated, it's dry, it's just still water, if you know what I mean. So the way I define wealth is different. Wealth requires circulation and containment, and without circulation, wealth cannot be regenerative. I believe true wealth, or I know that true wealth is regenerative. True wealth doesn't suck the life force of someone so that another person can live. That's not wealth. That's thievery. And in the presence of thievery requires subtraction, which means that something was taken for someone else to have, which means that's a form of poverty. Isn't it the fact that poor people are the ones who are supposed to be in petty crime to survive? So why is it that our wealthiest, the elitists out there, are engaging in petty theft, I guess at a grand scale, so that they can maintain what they claim is their wealth? Fundamentally, that's at odds. Why would you have to steal to become wealthy? That's not wealth then, it's something else. Wealth requires circulation and containment. Without circulation, wealth cannot be regenerative. This is why the wealth that most of us are familiar with, it's not naturally occurring. It's siphoned and hoarded. That's why we think wealth is a form of accumulation, because we see the riches out there accumulate so much, more than they ever really need. You know what I mean? So we just automatically think the more I accumulate, the wealthier I am. But it's dead. Or it only serves a select few people and subjugates everyone else, which again, if you have to siphon the life and the goodness out of those beneath you, is it really wealth, or are you just fundamentally lacking something to begin with? Here is the definition of wealth that I want you to take on. Wealth is the uninhibited circulation of your life force, and your life force is your vision, financial abundance, impact, and identity. So your life force circulating uninhibited within the correct containment structures. This is the law of reciprocity in effect. Ultimate wealth is when your reality mirrors the entirety of your wealth internally. It's the expression of your life force. Imagine a reality where everything within you exists in material reality and is reflected back to you. This is literally why God created humans. We were made in the image of God so that he can experience himself instead of only being aware of ourselves. Most of us are only aware of ourselves. Like, we consciously experience ourselves as ourselves, but experiencing ourselves as ourselves and actually experiencing us outside of ourselves are two very separate experiences. When God created humans, when he created physical reality, he gets to experience its glory. It's almost like you don't know how good of a singer you are until you record yourself and play it back. Like, you can hear yourself, but we're so accustomed to our voice that we're not even really experiencing the gravity and the talent that we naturally possess, or you might naturally possess, because it's within us. But imagine if you can take what's within you and put it outside of you and you can witness it for the first time. It's almost like how you can never see the back of your body. Like, I can see the front of myself because I can see myself in the monitor. I can look in the mirror, but I never see the back of myself unless someone takes a picture. And witnessing myself from that side of me is so strange and odd, but it's interesting because that's what I look like. That's what people see when they stand behind me. And sometimes it evokes insecurity for some people. For some people, that might affirm their confidence within themselves. But the point is being able to witness yourself from all angles outside of just having a vague awareness of yourself within yourself is an entirely different experience. And I believe that is wealth. And I believe God creating us in his image is what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to create life in our image because that is the ultimate reflection of God. This is what we're meant to model. Those who are disconnected from source, though, they lack life force, which is why capitalism, religion, and patriarchy were invented. You cannot produce from what you are deficient in, which is why those three, the big three, it's so big on siphoning, specifically your glory, your star, and life force. This is why the wealth that we are familiar with within that triad is hoarding and accumulation and stagnation. It makes no sense to hoard everything up to the top. But why would you thief and why would you hoard something if it was regenerative and naturally occurring? Does that make any sense? That's like someone hoarding every apple seed out there so that no one else can grow apples and they can only grow apples. You can only grow apples from them and you can only buy apples or experience apples from them, which makes no sense because apples are naturally occurring. There is no limit or shortage for apples unless something happens that makes... Do you see what I'm saying? Wealth, true wealth, is regenerative. It's naturally reoccurring unless you're deficient in it. What are they deficient in? I mean, personally, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, not because of any other reason other than the fact that the people who I used to follow as a kid who were conspiracy theorists, they're just a little bit too ungrounded from reality for me. So I just don't like to experience it. But I have some theories. I'll keep it there. But yeah, that's why they hoard, because their wealth isn't generative. It isn't their wealth. Because remember, I said wealth is your life force materialized. And if you are disconnected from source, what can you materialize if you're deficient in what you want to materialize? So they have to siphon it. Hence slavery and everything, all the other huge crimes against humanity that we've experienced and witnessed time and time and time and time again. People siphon from those who are wealthy. The wealthy siphon from those who are wealthy. Let me put it in a different way. The inherently wealthy are having their wealth siphoned from those who are extrinsically wealthy. That's how it goes. We've been taught for so long that wealth is outside of us, when in reality that we've all been given measures of wealth through our life force in our wombs. The larger the life force, the greater the potential for material wealth. I also need you to understand that money alone is not wealth. Money is not infrastructure. Remember, wealth is when circulation meets adequate containment. Infrastructure. Money cannot be infrastructure. Money can fill infrastructure. Money is neutral. It takes on the charge of whatever container it exists within. That's why you can make millions and still be poor. If you had to suppress your life force, your vision, impact, identity, or desires to make your money, you're poor. If you live a life that mirrors a distortion of you, you are poor, you are in poverty. Which sounds so different, right, than what we typically think. We think if you lack money, you're poor. You're only poor because we live in a distortion of a system, a distorted system. Let me just make it clear. You are inherently wealthy. There is not well, there might be some people on this earth who lack life force, like I said, but generally, especially if you're watching this video, you are inherently wealthy. You are inherently wealthy. You are inherently wealthy. And I need you to anchor onto that so close, because some of you are watching this video and you have $0 to your name. Some of you are sitting on a 6-figure savings account. I don't care. You are inherently wealthy. There is nothing that you have to do to be any more wealthy than you are. Your job as a steward of that wealth is to express it into physical reality. So just like how God created us in our image, to create a life after your image, to live and express in the glory and fullness of yourself, as we also live and delight in the glory of God. It's all a fractal. Wealth is experiencing the fullness of your inner complexity and magnitude and physical reality. That's why I say, if you are someone who had to give up all of yourself just to have money, again, money is not wealth. Or let's say, think about the people who have won the lottery and they ended up losing it all within months, years. That's why. For those people who won the lottery, they just lacked infrastructure, and money needs infrastructure for it to have any real tangible benefits on earth. You know what I mean? And infrastructure is not assets. Assets can be infrastructure, but not all infrastructure is an asset. I just want to add that in there too. As a high magnitude individual, as someone with a vision that is world changing, that's unprecedented, that's ahead of its time, the first of its kind, your potential for material wealth is immense. This means that you have a larger amount of life force than the standard person. You need more material to build a skyscraper than you need to build a shed. Those who are high in magnitude are looking to build a skyscraper, and you have to build the containment accordingly. The greater the potential, the more geometrically intelligent and structurally sound the containment structures must be. You cannot execute a $100 million gallon, no, I lied. You cannot execute a 100 million gallon vision inside of a 30 million gallon container. That's just structural physics. Not even, that's just basic math. We learned this in like second grade. Like, do this way or this way for whatever one is greater or lesser. We learned this. I hope y'all learned this. You should know this. It's math. It's basic math. This is structural physics in the realm of creation energetics. And this is something that you need to know because a lot of you, as a high magnitude individual, have been spending years, decades for some of you, struggling to materialize this vision that you know is meant to exist on this earth. And you've been treating it as if it's a personal deficit, when in reality, it's just a structural mismatch. That's all. This is why I'm inviting you on July 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern to my live transmission titled The Originator's Wealth Cycle. I am calling in 25 unprecedented leaders, trailblazing founders, governors, and originators to join me so that they can receive the blueprints and map to architecting the containment structures that can actually hold the entirety of their wealth. My Originator's Wealth Cycle is 3.5 hours long. It's a structural, diagnostic, and rhythm mapping transmission built specifically and exclusively for leaders and founders who have outgrown every traditional framework. Because you already have the excellence, you already have the skill, you already have the backing behind you, and you still have been reaching the ceiling. If that is you, it is because there's a structural mismatch in your containment architecture, and it is cramping the circulation of your wealth. By the end of this session, you will have the blueprints and the map to navigate and architect the exact containment structures you need to actualize the entirety of your wealth. If this applies to you and you know you're meant to be in that room, and if this video resonated with you at all, the link to apply is in my bio. Anyways, I am the Wealth Priestess, and I thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.